Okay, today I've got my 1997 Audi A4 Quattro in the garage here. I'm going to do some work to it. I've got a check engine light that comes on. I've cleared it a few times, and each time I clear it, it comes back sooner and sooner and quicker. So let's finally get this thing taken care of properly instead of just clearing it. Okay, so I've got my scanner hooked up to it, and we're going to read the codes. And I know what these codes are because, you know, like I said, I've cleared them a few times, and I saw what they are, but I just want to show you, what it looks like on the tool. Okay, so here we are. Let's look at the diagnostic trouble codes. Okay, and so here we're at. And now we've got 3. Initially, when I was clearing them before, I had just 2 of them. And the 2 that I was getting was the P0150 and the P0153. Now the P0133 is the first time I've seen this code. So the 2 that I was going to address are the 150 and 153, which is the O2 sensor, bank 2, sensor 1. Is the 150. The 153 is the O2 sensor, circuit slow response, bank 2, sensor 1. And so let's look at a freeze frame of the conditions that we had when this code was thrown. Okay, so the fuel system was in closed loop. The engine coolant temperature, so the engine was up to temperature, 195 degrees. Short-term fuel trim was at 0, perfect. Long-term fuel trim was at 1.6, perfect, or nearly perfect. The engine RPM, 2850, and the speed, 68 miles an hour. And so that's what we've got here. So it looks like I was just driving down the highway. The engine had already come up to temperature, and it just threw this code while I was driving down the highway. Let's also check the freeze frame on the slow response. We don't have a freeze frame there, but let's see what the possible problems are. Possible causes. Front heated oxygen sensor bank 2 harness is open or shorted. Front heated oxygen sensor bank 2 circuit poor electrical connection. Faulty front heated oxygen sensor bank 2. Inappropriate fuel pressure. Faulty fuel injectors. Intake air leak. Exhaust gas leak. Alright, this being my car, I know this car better than probably anybody on the planet. I know it runs good. I know it doesn't have an exhaust leak. I know there's probably no issue with the fuel injectors because it runs great. It idles fine. When I get on it, when I floor it, it doesn't, hesitate. It doesn't stumble or stall or anything. I know the harness is in good shape. I did a visual inspection. I mean, everything right now points to the heated oxygen sensor needs to be replaced. This car is 22 years old now. It's got 264,000 miles on it. And I'm pretty sure that this is the original oxygen sensor in the car. And it's getting lazy now, and it's not responding, or it's slow to respond. So I went ahead and ordered a new oxygen sensor, and I'm going to replace that oxygen sensor today, and then we'll see how that works. Here's the firing order for the 2.8 V6. We see cylinder 1 is on the passenger side. We're looking for bank 2, which would be the driver's side. Bank 2 sensor 1, which is upstream. So driver side upstream. Let's go locate that in the car. Okay, here we are under the hood. Driver's side, which is over here. Upstream. If we look There it is right there. Facing up, there's the wires coming out of it. So, all things considered, looks like it's pretty easy access. To get to that, we're going to just remove that coolant tank and see what kind of access we got. Okay, we got a coolant sensor that we unplugged. Okay, now I've got the coolant tank removed, and if we, oh, there it is right there, and it looks like we can go get a straight down shot at it pretty much. I'm going to remove some harnesses and some wires, and let's see if I can't get a O2 sensor wrench on that thing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is unmount the connector for that sensor and then disconnect it, and so I can remove the sensor from the harness of the car. And here is the connector, this black connector right here. And I'm going to just disconnect it. Okay, and there's one harness, one kind of a wire wrap between this, the whole sensor is connected by one wrap. So I want to remove that. Alright, so now we've got the whole sensor and its harness separated from everything. Okay, so in order to get better access to this thing, I want to try to remove this breather hose. Oh, it's already broken. It's brittle. Again, 20-something years old. Okay, so I'll have to repair that at some point when we reassemble it. But that gives me a little better access to the sensor. Okay, these sensors are notorious for not wanting to come out easily and putting up a bit of a fight. Although I will say this one it's upstream, it's right next to the manifold, it looks clean, I don't even see a lot of rust on it. So I'm hoping that I can just break this thing free and it will come out rather easy. Alright, so I've got the wrench on there now. I'm just going to try, without any heat or anything, I'm just going to see if this thing will cooperate with me. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Huh. I think I just broke it loose. I think I just broke it loose. It is loose. Wow. That almost never happens. I mean, if loose enough, I'm going to see if I can reach my hand in there. I mean, it's down deep in there. It's going to be hard to get a hand on it, but if I can get this wrench to get some turns out of it. There we go. Come on. Come on. I mean, it's so loose, I'm tempted to just try to twist it by the harness. Let me try that. Huh. Come on, baby. Wow. Alright, let's take it over to the bench and have a look at it. Alright, so here I am back at the bench. I've got the old and the new one right next to each other. This is the one that I just took out. Not too bad. This is another reason why I absolutely love this car, and I may never get rid of it. I mean, this car is 22 years old. This thing came out room temperature, cold, with a wrench, no fight at all. And you can see under the hood of this car, there's no rust anywhere. This car has no rust on it anywhere. It's got 250,000 miles on it, and it's 23 years old. So, I mean, this thing, you might even be able to clean that. I'm not going to bother. Throwing it out. I got another brand new Bosch OEM. And this is the one we're going to put on there. It's got a little anti-seize on the threads already. And so that's going to go in place. But I am stunned at how easy that came out. That was unbelievable. That could have been a nightmare, but it was not. Alright, so far so good. Fantastic. Okay, before I go ahead and try to install this new sensor, I want to just blow these threads out. Here we go. Okay, let's see if I can get this sensor in there, which hopefully won't be too difficult if I can reach it. Look at this. Oh, yeah, baby. Alright, I'll get that wrench on there. Sock it down. Alright, let's get in here and tighten this thing down. And you don't have to lean on this thing with all your might. There's a spec to it. I'm not sure what it is, but I just put it in there nice and firm. And I don't want to go full gorilla on it. That's fine. That's not going to go anywhere. Okay, new sensor's in. Connected. And so this is what it looks like fully installed. There's the sensor, there is the harness, and there's the connector. Straight shot down. So the connector, there's the new harness, through that little harness wrap, straight to the new connector. And that's all good to go. Now I put the coolant tank back on. First I got to take care of this PVC hose that I broke. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, so here is the PVC pipe that I broke. It's plastic. And so I want to repair this. Basically, all I'm going to do is clean it and wrap it with some electrical tape and see if that won't seal it up. So let me clean it with some brake clean. So there's a nice clean surface for the tape to stick to. Here we go. And there we go. I think that'll do just fine. And now we'll go back to the car and we'll just snap this thing on there. Should be good. Fortunately, installing this thing is a lot easier than removing it, this pipe. So there's one end that it goes on. And then the other end, you can see, is right there. Right there. So it snaps on that pipe, and then it comes over and plugs into that pipe. Pretty easy. And they just snap on. So let me put that in place. Okay. This is a cam position sensor, I think. And there. And so that's what that looks like now. There's the pipe, and it goes back to there. A little grimy back there, but what are you going to do? And so there's the sensor, and now I'm just going to put back the coolant tank, and then we'll hook up the scan tool and we'll just take a look at that sensor on a graph and make sure it's working. Okay. Here's a tip and one extra step that I took when removing this sensor. You know, I'm reaching down into tight spots with this wrench, and the last thing I want, actually it goes like this, the last thing I want to do is when I'm reaching down in there is and I'm pulling it back up, is to have this thing fall off and drop down deep somewhere and spend half a day trying to fish this thing out and locate it. You know, in the perfect world it would fall to the floor, you could pick it up, but I don't even want to drop it in there at all. So I simply just took, and you can look around, you can put almost anything in there. You could stick a couple of pieces of paper in there. We'll do the same thing, but I just took a piece of electrical tape on my extension and then stuck it on there. And so now it's tight and it isn't coming off. I mean, you got to pull it off. And so that stops it from dropping down and playing hide and go seek for you for an hour. Alright, so we got everything all tightened up again, back inside the car, and now we're going to turn on the scanner. And before I start the car, I want to put both those O2 sensors, bank 1 sensor 1 and bank 2 sensor 1, I want to look at them on a graph, and we will compare what a brand new one looks like to what the passenger side one looks like. That was actually given us a code, so we can kind of compare the two. So let's get in there and ooh, what is this? This is a 993 Turbo S. Woo! All right, let's get in here. Okay, so I'm in the car with the key on, engine off, so we can establish communications, and I want to start this thing up while looking at the O2 sensors. So we're going to go into live data. And we'll get this all set up. Okay, so oxygen sensor output voltage, bank 1, sensor 1. And output voltage, bank 2, sensor 1. So we're going to compare the two. And we're going to put this on a graph. And we'll put this on a graph. And so bank 1 is at the top. Bank 2, which is what we replaced, is at the bottom. And now let's start up the car. And let's compare the two. So it takes a little time for the things to heat up and actually start generating voltage. I'm going to back out of the garage here so I can close the door because it's hot out. Close the garage door. There we go. Alright, we got something going on. Sensor 2 is starting to work before sensor 1. Turn off the air conditioner. And you know, it looks to me like there's more activity on the new sensor, more frequencies of the voltage fluctuation, so it's more active and more responsive perhaps. So, I mean, if bank 1 is going to behave like bank 2, I'll probably clear all the codes, and it may come back in a month or two. I'll clear it, it'll come back in a couple of weeks, and I'll clear it, and it'll come back every week, and then I'll probably just replace it. But it looks like there's more activity in bank 2, which is the one we just replaced, than there is on bank 1. So I would expect that down the road, a month or two from now, I might get another check engine light for bank 1. But I'm going to clear it, and we'll see what happens. And so there's a snapshot of bank 1 versus bank 2. Bank 2 having the brand new sensor in it, bank 1 having the old original sensor in it, and it looks like more activity on bank 2, and bank 1 is maybe slow to respond. And so I would imagine I'll be replacing that before long. And so there you have it, P0153. Slow response on the O2 sensor, and P0150 malfunctioning O2 sensor. The fix in this instance was to replace the sensor itself. It was 20 some odd years old with 260,000 miles on it, and so that's how you replace it on a B5A4 with the 2.8 V6. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.